tuifanye Afrika mti wa uzima. Tuungane sote tuimbe pamoja, kuenzi shikamano hatima yetu. Tujitoe wenyewe kupambana pamoja, uhuru na umoja vitawale. Enyi bwana na binti wa Afrika, mwili wa jua, mwili wa anga, tuifanye Afrika mti wa uzima. Tuungane sote na tujibidishe kutoa kilicho bora kwa Afrika. Chimbuko la wanadamu, chemchemi ya utamaduni, tumaini letu wakati wa mafarakano. Enyi bwana na binti wa Afrika, mwili wa jua, mwili wa anga, tuifanye Afrika mti wa uzima.
It is Humans TV Africa you're watching. My name is Kato Mukasa. In the studio is Dennis Bongole to do the production, and Humans TV Africa is a registered media charity organization. We are registered to do the work we do, to spread awareness, create positive information, and of course empower our people to get out of poverty, and of course tackle stereotypes and empower people to know better than yesterday. We want to encourage you to please subscribe to our channel, which is Humans TV Africa. We are on Facebook, TikTok, and we have a website in the name Humans TV Africa. You can also send us an email, which is right on your screen, and of course our website is right there on your screen. Now, one of our roles is to empower each other to get more knowledgeable, because information, of course, is power. And we are right there to promote rights of people that are very marginalized in societies, give them a voice, to be able to speak out issues that they don't normally get a chance to talk about. Also, we use this TV to clarify about issues, especially of the countries that you don't know about. Today, it's country profiles, and we're going to be handling one country in West Africa, which is Niger. Niger, some people think it's Nigeria, but it's not. They have almost the same name. The other is Nigeria, this is Niger. They share the same river, and it's that river, Niger, if you want it that way, that we get the name Nigeria and Niger. They share the same river, they share a history, and they share a boundary. So Niger, or Niger, and Nigeria are very similar in many things. They share a river, they share a name, and people of Nigeria and Niger are also called Nigerian. So they share quite a common history, apart from being occupied by the French in Niger or Niger, and of course the British in Nigeria. Now, as you can see, the country, a flag map right there, green, red, and white, quite a big country. This is the largest country in West Africa. Very interesting. Niger, or Niger, is the largest country in West Africa, larger than Nigeria itself, but with very few people, about 25 million people. You can imagine that Nigeria has 200 plus million people, but Niger has only 25 million people. Now on that map, we can see the major areas right in Nigeria, or Niger, not Nigeria. In Niger, we look at the ethnic tribes, and some of them actually are the same that we can find in Nigeria. The Hausas, the Kanuri, and others are also found in Niger, but there are many Arabs in Niger than actually in Nigeria. There are many Arabs. The country has been occupied by the Tuaregs and others. Languages in this country are basically the Amazigh, which is one of the most common language in this country, the Hausa, Zama, Kanuri, Arabic. They speak much Arabic in Niger, Parafuda, Tebu, Tasawak, and others. Now, this country is well endowed with people, with a culture, with a history. They speak French because, of course, they have been taken over by the French people since 1920, when the French took them over as a colony. Now, when you look at this map, you see the territories, the regions, as they call them in this country: the Agada, Toula, Zinde, Adifa, Maradi, Dosso, and Telabe. Of course, the capital state is called Niamey. The capital state of Niger, or Niger, is called Niamey, right there at the border of this country, right there. Now, in terms of geographical location, this country is purely landlocked. It has one of the largest deserts in the world. That's why much of it is desert, honestly. Basically, 80% of this country is basically desert. Desert is covering much of this country. That's why they have few people, about 25 million people, but it's very big a country. This country is bordering Mali, Burkina Faso, Chad, and of course, we see Nigeria there. And as we can see, they share the Niger River, which flows through them, where they get their name right there. So we see Algeria as the neighbor, Algeria, Mali, and the other neighboring countries here to make it a completely landlocked country. As you can see on the map, Mali is the neighbor here, Algeria, and others. Now, these are some of the most important aspects of this country. This country is much known for producing uranium, the largest deposit of uranium in Africa and possibly in the world can be found in Niger or Niger. The question is, why is Niger or Niger poor? Why? Because Niger has had the most conflicts in Africa. It has had some of the worst coups in Africa. So far as we speak today, Niger has had 11 coups in a space of 30 years. 11 coups. You can imagine. Presidents come and go within years, 2 years, 3 years, another government comes in. That's why Niger is predominantly poor, very unstable, a lot of famine, a lot of instabilities, a lot of displacement. Country is big, country is rich, but leaders in this country don't stay long. They are always deposed. There's gold mining in this country, there's uranium, and there are other minerals in this country. Quite a number of minerals in this country, including, of course, uranium, and including gold, and including oil, and of course, agriculture production is also quite good in the areas where they can be grown. Of course, they have millet, cassava, sorghum, maize, beans, and other staple foods in this country. Now, when you look at this map of the minerals, these are the administrative areas of Niger, administrative areas of Niger. Difa, there, Agadez, Tahu, Maradi, Dosso, and Teraberi, and of course the capital is Niamey. These are the administrative areas of this country, Niger, or Niger, as some people call it. Now, Niger has been in partnership with the French. I should tell you, in my view, Niger has never been independent. They will tell you they're independent, but I should tell you, authoritatively, that Niger or Niger has never been independent because the French have been controlling it, including controlling their finances. Since independence, since the alleged independence, this country has been controlled by the French government since their independence. You can see the Sahara takes over much of the land of this beautiful country, and only about 20% is the arable land. Much of it is desert. But they have oil, they have uranium. Some of the largest deposits in the world can be found in Niger. And of course, they have also other minerals. Now, they export gold. Of course, they export beans, onions, and of course meat. They have a lot of meat in this country. Remember, they are in partnership with France. They are in partnership with the United States of America. They work with Switzerland, Nigeria, Ghana. These are the countries where they export their food products. So of course, the neighbors of Niger or Niger are Algeria, Chad, Mali, Nigeria, Benin, and of course Libya up there. So this country is completely landlocked. As you can see, these are the countries that neighbor this country: Libya, Algeria, Mali, Chad, Nigeria, Benin, and of course Cameroon down there. These are the countries. This country is completely landlocked, but very wealthy in terms of uranium and gold. Let us look at the statistics of this country. Population is about 26 million people as we speak today, but this is about 2022. It means it must have gone about 27 as we speak today. Now, population growth rate is also quite high, despite the small area of Arab land. It is quite high at 3% per annum. And of course, age dependence is quite high. You can imagine to have age dependence of 105%. That is quite high on the working class. It means that almost everyone depends on the worker. How many are workers? You can imagine. Now, if you have all that dependency, it's trouble for the working class in this country. Now, urban population is quite high, right there of the total at 16%. Infant mortality rate is also very threatening. You cannot have 59 deaths among 1,000 live births. That is quite high. Infant mortality rate is so threatening in this country. Now, life expectancy is also low at 61 years. That is quite low in this country. Now, in terms of age distribution, we see that the majority are between the ages of 0 to 14 and 15 to 64. This is quite interesting. That majority of these people are actually younger than 14 years. That is quite interesting in a country. And you can imagine that only 2% are above 65. Now, if you look at distribution of people by age, ask yourself why the dependence rate is so high. Because young people are so many in this country. Young people are so many in this country now. It makes it worrying because we have about 14 people 14 years and below are 48%. That's terrible. In terms of energy, production there, you can see it is very low and consumption is quite high of electricity, quality energy, how to put it here. No exports, and of course they import the electricity from the neighboring countries right there. Now let us look at we'll look at oil. Oil, I told you, they produce oil in barrels. You can see the thousands right there, and consumption is quite much than what they produce, which means some of the oil actually they got it from elsewhere in other sources. Of course, they have crude oil right there, and renewable oil in the offing in this country. It's a rich country, as I told you, but highly prone to coups. 11 coups in the last 30 years. 11 coups. This country is terrible news. Now, in terms of airports, they have 30 airports. Of course, some of them are private airports. Guys have airports in this country. People with cellular phones are only 8 million people. Remember, there's about 26 million people, but 8 million people have cellular phones. Highways covers about 18,000 kilometers right there. And of course, internet users are even below 1 million in this country. Freedoms are quite shaky. Even less than 1 million actually have internet in this country. And we are talking about 26 million people, but only 800,000 have the internet. Telephones are even less. Look at that, 11,000 people there have telephones. That is, I'm talking about office telephones. And that's quite challenging. Now, in terms of geography and environment, this country is Western Africa, southern east of Algeria. Total area is bigger. This country is big than Nigeria, the biggest in West Africa. It has 1,267 square miles. This country is bigger than France, or almost twice France. This country is big. Now, land area right there, 1,266,000 square kilometers. Water area is only 300 square kilometers. You can imagine water area because much of it is a desert anyway. Coastline is 0. Now, climate, the country is full of deserts, mostly hot, dry, dusty, tropical in extreme south. The terrain is predominantly desert plains and, of course, sand dunes right in this country. The highest point right there, of course, sand dunes. That is a bit flat to rolling plains in the south, hills in the north. Lowest point is Niger River. Niger River, which is about 200 meters. The highest point is Odokai Tages, which is about 2,022 meters high there. Now, this is the country with its history, and the country has a variety of wild animals that you can only find in this country. Look at this animal right here. Some of the animals that you can only find in this country. One of those animals that are quite interesting to watch. If you take a keen look at the photos there, you will see that they have the two giraffe dating back 10,000 years ago. They have, of course, the Dabosa giraffe. They have the baboons, then the other monkeys, elephants, and all these giraffes and other animals in Africa, as you know them. They have them in this beautiful country. The crocodiles, the hippopotamus, and others. These are animals you find in tropics. They are found right there in Niger or Niger. They have the lions there. Quite good sightseeing. You can see wealth of animals in this country. Lots of animals in this country, game parks, national parks, water bodies right there in this country. It's a lovely country. You can see beautiful villages, the Niger River and others. They give you better beaches, by the way. The country is a bit dry, much of it, but River Niger or Niger, one of the biggest rivers in this country, provides them with water and a beautiful ambience that tourists normally find interesting. You can see that bridge there connects these countries, connects the bridge, and then it makes it very, very, very beautiful country to visit. In terms of welfare, in terms of exposure, this country has been a part of the French territories that have been colonized and continue to be exploited by the French establishment, even though we may say that this country has been independent. I told you they have lots of water bodies. They have lots of water bodies that are interesting, as you can see in those photos. Quite a number of beautiful photos, beautiful villages, beautiful water bodies right inside there in this beautiful country right there. And as we can see, the Niger River Basin is quite big and takes a lot of responsibility in providing people with water and with life. The bridge, the River Niger Bridge, as we have seen it, connects this country to avoid the waterlogged area and then connected with the desert. The people are happy, as many people in sub-Saharan Africa. They like decorations, they like hot colors. There are people with the culture of dances, of poetry, of a lot of cultural history. But as I told you, they have been influenced by the Islamic religion as that much. Islamic religion. And there are many Arabs and intermarriages in this country. When you are in Niger, you may think you are in Egypt, partly because there are many intermarriages with the Tuaregs, Berbers, the bit brown people. Some of them are bit black, but more intermarriages, mulattoes between especially Arabs, originally Arabs, and indigenous black people. So they give you a mixture of people you see on your screen. Bit of Arabs, bit of Africans, and of course Europeans, mixed races right in this country. So it's a country much endowed with a variety of ethnicities that you can really enjoy if you want to enjoy it. Just learn about their history. There, it's a bit of a desert, as I told you, and the country is highly poor. Did I tell you that it's one of the highly indebted poor countries in the world? That actually 70% of the people in Niger cannot earn $1 a day. Now on the screen, is the photo are the photos of the capital state, which is Niamey. The capital state of this country is called Niamey. The country is poor, even when they are rich. Why? The country is poor, even when it is rich in uranium, one of the best uranium in the world, but the country is rich. Why? Because of the conflicts that have been happening in this country. You can imagine 11 coups in this country since independence. 11 coups. People come, people go. Presidents don't even stay for a long time in this country. They keep on getting deposited. Now, for example, on July 26th, 2023, that man is shown on the screen. Mohammed, that man is shown on the screen. Abdulhamid Tichini, General Abdulhamid Tichini, took over power through a coup. The day was on the 26th of July, 2023. Deposited a president called Mohammed Bazoum. That is the guy who was deposited. Mohammed Bazoum was deposited, ousted out of the presidency. His family partly was in France. His children were in France, but his wife was there. Up to now, this man has been detained in Niger. He is in prison in Niger. Former president has been detained. Now, the army took over on 26th July 2023 in a coup d'etat. The man who was supposed to be the presidential guard, a director, took over presidency. And of course, the president, Mohamed Bazoum, was arrested, and the presidential guard commander, General Abdurrahman Chiani, proclaimed himself the leader of a new military junta. And shortly after confirming the coup a success, the man took over and arrested the president. As I speak, the president is in prison in his own country. The president is in prison, plus his wife. It was only lucky that his children were outside the country in France, but the entire family would have been in prison. Up to now, none of them is seen moving on the streets. In fact, people doubt whether Mohamed Bazoum is actually alive, because he has been put in under house arrest. A president under house arrest. So when we talk about instabilities in Africa, these are the challenges. We warn Uganda that this may happen. Coups happen. They have been happening in Niger. They have been happening in many West African countries, where the military takes over, kills the presidents, shoots everyone, and they declare themselves leaders. Only after 3 years down the road, then you hear another coup coming in. Now, this is the challenge Niger or Niger is having. 11 coups since independence. How can a country develop when leaders hardly stay for 10 years? Leaders hardly stay for 5 years. Every time displacement, every time guns are blazing. This is Africa. This is Niger. Lack of peace. This explains why many African countries remain poor. The country is rich with gold. The country has the highest deposit of uranium in Africa, but the country is always under war. So this is Massive Africa. We keep on giving you the best out of Africa, showcasing you what is an African, and of course encouraging you to go to Africa and invest. Go to Africa and invest, but also call for peace. Call for peace as the people in Africa and fight for the development of these African countries. Thank you for watching. It has been Niger under our perspective, under the scope today. It was Niger. We shall be back with another country to explain to you what Africa is today and what must be done to move Africa forward. See you in the next one.